Hi, I'm Mike Edwards. The company is Home Improvement Doctor. The website is diydoctor.org.uk, and we're shooting a series of videos about ceramic tiling. This particular one is the second instalment in our ceramic tiling tools video. So ceramic tiling tools part 2. Part 1 contains cutting machines and profile gauges and other bits and pieces, and we're just going to simply carry on from that one. So we'd advise you to watch part 1 first, and this is part 2. We've just finished speaking about, in video number 1, about tile nips and how to produce nice shapes in tiles to cut round or into objects on the wall, and how to get this edge, once cut, smooth. One of the other devices, we talked about carborundum stones and carborundum files, and this is a tile file made by Plasplug, and this is simply carborundum with a serrated edge to allow the dust through. And this particular type of tile file comes in of various widths and various shapes. We quite like these because these are very easy to hold and to use. They come normally 2 in a pack fixed together, and we take them out as we've used one side. We take a side, take it out and turn it over. But we find these particularly useful because they're quite wide and very easy to hold. So we'll stick that there for now, and we'll go back to something that we didn't cover in part 1, which is actually cutting ceramic tiles with handheld scribe cutters. You will see a lot more about these in our cutting ceramic tiles video, but these are fine pointed cutters with tungsten tips, and they will simply cut their way through a ceramic tile glaze, and having scored the glaze, you can cut the tile quite easily. People seem to think that using a handheld tile cutter is a difficult thing because you have to virtually cut your way through the tile. No, you don't. You only need to score the glaze, and this isn't, you see a lot of people demonstrating different types of tile cutters at trade shows, and they draw circles with them, and then when you buy them and get them home, you find it's almost impossible because they've been practicing for 2 years, and they make it look very easy. But handheld tile cutters are very easy to use. Simply scribe your line and break your tile. Once you've got through the glaze, cutting's not that difficult. So they're handheld tile cutters, part of the DIY Doctor Tiling Toolkit. This particular tool here is about 4 or 5 quid, and we don't use it very much on wall tiles unless we're laying very big wall tiles on an industrial level. But let me show you what this does. This is a suction pad, and it's operated by the handle. When the handle is squeezed together, I hope the camera can see that, it pulls the center of this pad up, causing a vacuum in the middle which sucks the tile up to it. So let me show you that in application. I simply push that onto the tile, close the handle until that clips shut, and I can pick the tile up. Now that makes the movement and the placement of a tile very easy. If I have a cut to make on the tile, if I want to score those corners to cut them, I can hold it very still, and maybe even using one of my tile cutters here, I can hold that dead still, create the line, there we go, and cut the tile, holding that very tight with the cutter. So it ensures that I get the correct cut all of the time. 5 quid, very simple tool to use and very handy indeed, especially when we come to big 600mm square tiles on the floor. They allow us to position them very easily without getting our fingers trapped, etc. So that's part of our toolkit. There's no reason why it shouldn't be part of yours. So that's a tile sucker. We'll put that there for a moment. Now, getting the tiles on the wall comes clearly after we've put the adhesive on the wall. And to get the adhesive on the wall, we need to use a couple of things. First of all, we use a scraper. You can see this particular one is bent. Now that's bent deliberately so that we can get round a big drum of tile adhesive without too much difficulty. So we get the adhesive out of the drum using a scraper, and then we put it on an adhesive trowel, one of these particular trowels. This is a 4mm trowel, this is a 5mm notched trowel, and this is a 12mm notched trowel. This one is for floor tiles, laying floor tile adhesive. The bigger the surface area, the bigger the notch. The bigger the surface area of the tile, the bigger the notch we use. It's very, very important when you're ceramic tiling, as you'll see in our other videos, that each part of the back of the tile touches the adhesive at least somewhere, so that you have an even amount of pressure, and then if you need to drill any holes later on, it doesn't crack. We generally use a 5mm or a 4mm notched trowel to get our adhesive on the wall, and you will see from our laying ceramic tiles video why tilers use a notched trowel. There's 2 or 3 different reasons for that, but these aren't very expensive. They're 3 or 4 quid from a DIY shed, so we would suggest a 4 or 5mm notched trowel for laying ceramic tiles. So when we've got the adhesive on the wall, we put the tiles in place and we push them in very gently, as you'll see from our other videos. This one, don't forget, is just about the tools that we use. And sometimes we'll push a tile a little bit hard in one corner, and it produces a step between that tile and the next one. Now this is a very, very clever, useful little J hook, so called because of its shape. I hope the cameraman can see the bottom. And we use this. This is made by a company called Shaw Tile. You can find out more about them on our website, diydoctor.org.uk. And this quite simply fits behind the tile through the joint. It's then turned into the adhesive, and we can pull that back a little bit to get the face of the tiles absolutely flush. Not all walls are absolutely flat. And in one of our earlier videos you will see me talking about the different types of tile you should use on undulating walls. So the use of one of these or something like it on a wall that's not flat is very, very common, and this is a perfect tool for it. That's called a J hook from Shaw Tile. I've spoken about the tile cutters, and I've spoken about the tile nips. So what we'll do now is move on to a brief introduction of the tools that we can use for drilling ceramic tiles. There's a completely separate video for this. These are just the tools that we're going to use. On the most basic level, these things are produced, and these are tungsten or diamond tipped ceramic tile drills. These are specially made for drilling ceramic tiles, and they come obviously in various sizes for various holes. They're okay, they do the job. A DIY doctor doesn't actually use these. We use ordinary masonry drills. The most important thing is that you do not have your drill on vibrate, and when you're drilling a hole in a ceramic tile, you start with the smallest hole possible and simply enlarge it by inserting larger and larger drills. That's the way that we cut or we drill ceramic tiles. We don't use these, but they are available, so we've told you about it, and you'll see more about them in our cutting ceramic tile in our drilling ceramic tiles video. One can also buy a bathroom hole saw kit. Again, you'll see more about it in our ceramic tile video, but on a very basic level, a bathroom ceramic tile hole saw kit comes with all of the various hole sizes you are likely to use in a bathroom. You will also get what's called an arbor. Now, an arbor comes with all hole saw kits, and the arbor has a thread on it, as has the internal hole in the hole saw drill bit itself. The arbor screws into the drill bit and gives you what's called a pilot hole. You can read more about pilot holes on the DIY Doctor website. The arbor then fits into the chuck of the drill, and the drill itself, the pilot drill, goes through the ceramic tile in the place that you've marked, and the hole, the diamond tipped or the tungsten tipped teeth on the hole saw give you a large hole. More about that in our cutting, in our drilling ceramic tile videos. So that's a bathroom hole saw kit. Now, before you start drilling holes in anything, anywhere in your house, you need to check for pipes and cables. Very, very important. Especially in a bathroom, if there's a shower, either overhead or on the wall, there'll be pipes feeding the water to it. If you've got taps, there'll be pipes feeding the water to it. Every now and again, whether it's right or whether it's wrong, those pipes go through the wall, and indeed they go through the floor and above the ceiling. So if you're drilling a hole anywhere, you need to be very careful. This is called an IntelliSensor, and this, I think this is some between 12 and 15 pounds. And having turned it on, which is a little trigger underneath my right forefinger, you simply place it on the wall and you can hear it picking up both the stud that this plasterboard has behind it, and were there a cable or a pipe, the two lights in the centre would also flash and make a vibrating noise. So that's an IntelliSensor. Before you start drilling holes in your wall or your floor or your ceiling, please check for pipes and cables. We get untold numbers of emails asking us how we can repair a pipe, and largely it's pretty unnecessary. There are any number of different tools that you can buy in all of the DIY shops for grouting a ceramic tile wall. This one is a squeegee, pretty much the same as the window cleaners use. You put your grout on the tiles and then you use the squeegee to push that in the joints, and that works fine. On a bigger level, we have what's called a grout float. So this is a normal float, but the face of it is sponged back, so it has a sponge back, so it moves into the corner, so you can push the grout into the joints using a grout float. Our favourite, as you will see from our grouting ceramic tiles video, is a normal sponge. We use a decorator's sponge. Using this slightly damp, we can push the grouts into the joints, knowing that we've filled every single joint up to the brim, because that's the most important thing. Your tiles are, because they're ceramic based and they have a glaze on the top, are pretty much waterproof. I think it's chemistry tells me that there's about a 5% water, or a 0.05% water suction through there, but it's absolutely negligible in a bathroom. However, the joints are vulnerable, so it's important that the grout fills those joints up, and we use a sponge to do just that. Now, sometimes when you've finished your bathroom a year later, some of the joints have gone a little bit brown because of some water penetration, or a little bit of mould in a bathroom if you haven't got adequate ventilation, and it's necessary to replace that grout. Replacing grout isn't a difficult job using one of these little beasts, and if the cameraman can get a close-up on this, this is called a grout rake. And grout rakes, we're very inventive in the building industry. We've got a tool for raking the grout out of joints, so we've called it a grout rake. This particular grout rake is dual purpose. You can see, I hope, the edge of that grout rake is a carborundum based edge. So this simply saws its way into the joint. And as a little tip, if you're replacing grout in ceramic tile joints, you must never go any less than 2 millimeters deep. Any less than that and the grout that you put in, the new grout, will simply wash out. So 2 millimeters is your absolute minimum. So using this grout rake, you simply saw through the joint. The grout will fall out in powder, so you can vacuum that up. On the other side of this grout rake, you will see, I hope, a serrated edged blade. This is a replacement which I'm holding up here. So this is a dual purpose, so you can take the carborundum based blade off and put a serrated, I'm having a job with that word, a serrated edged blade. So again, this is used to rake or saw out the grout between the tiles, and then using our sponge or other pieces of equipment, we can put the grout back. So that's a very brief run through of all of the tools that we use for ceramic tiling. It gives you some idea of what is available. It's as well to remember in the building industry, there's a tool for every single job you want to do, and if you get the right tool, you don't have to buy this stuff, you can go and hire it. If you use the right tool, for example, the hole saws are a perfect example. If you use the right tool, you can get a fantastic job. It's only when we struggle with tools that aren't appropriate for the job that we mess it up, we begin not to enjoy DIY and we stop doing it. So using the right tools in DIY home improvement is very, very enjoyable. So go out and hire them or buy them if you'd like to. And that's our ceramic tile tool review video from DIY Doctor. Thank you.